Wow, that is a very big botch. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Sounds like you guys could hear me now. But what I was saying was welcome back to the Ango Show Live. Hopefully you guys all had a great holiday for Thanksgiving. If you guys didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, hopefully you guys had a great break. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Hopefully you guys had a good day at work or school or whatever it may be. We are live. As you guys can see, the Ango Show looks a little bit different. I hope you guys are all doing awesome. I need you guys to do me a favor. I need you guys to go ahead and click like on the stream. That would be so incredibly helpful and appreciative. I would be so appreciative if you guys liked this stream. I am looking for all the motivation in the world to keep streaming. Obviously, if you guys follow my main channel and second channel, we are pumping out content, but your guys' support, your guys' activity keeps me motivated as always. So I definitely appreciate you guys stopping by. I definitely appreciate you guys joining me in the chat. If you guys want to support the stream, there's two ways to do so. You can click like, and of course, as always, super chats are super incredibly appreciated. As you guys know, yeah, those are really the big things, honestly. We do have, I don't want to be like talking about money and donations and all that good stuff. But if you guys want to support, if you guys want to support me, there's two ways to do so. If you guys drop a super chat or there's a tipping link, those are really, really appreciated. YouTube be taking a little bit more money from the super chat, so that's why there's a link right there, because it's way less of a fee. If you guys want to help out, if you guys want to support, you guys don't have to, but you guys know the drill. If you want to, definitely do so. All super chats, memberships, all that good stuff gets shouted out, and of course your questions get read on the stream. And if anybody wants to call into the stream, we can do that later this week. We will be having that introduced. But yeah, we're going to talk about Survivor Series. We're going to talk about Raw. We're going to shoot the shit. We're calm. We're relaxed. Hopefully you guys are all doing good. Don't know. I genuinely don't know, to be honest, what the future is of live streaming on this channel, because YouTube is just freaking weird, bro. It's weird. The viewership is weird. The numbers up and down. I don't know. So we'll see how long I keep doing it for. But obviously I appreciate you guys coming through and sticking around and being here. I don't know what you guys thought about Survivor Series, but I'm going to share my thoughts so you guys could tell me what you thought about Survivor Series. I personally liked it and I disliked it at the same time. There was things I liked, there was things I disliked, and we're going to talk about the things I liked. And we're going to talk about the things that I didn't like, which is completely normal. So hopefully you guys are all doing good and we'll talk about it. I don't know if anybody has any questions they want to start off with, but overall Survivor Series, I like the idea of pay-per-views starting earlier, which obviously Survivor Series started at 6 o'clock, which I thought was cool. And I like the fact that Survivor Series had some good matches. There was definitely room for more, for sure. I haven't yawned all day. All of a sudden I go live and I start yawning, so I don't know what the hell that's all about. But I thought Survivor Series, one of the big things I want to talk about with Survivor Series is that I think a lot of times people have these expectations that there's going to be these massive surprises, and obviously we don't really know what is happening with The Rock, and we don't know what is happening with John Cena going into 2025. So who really knows what WWE's plan may be for that? But obviously, as I was watching the pay-per-view, I did think there was a couple times where I thought maybe a big surprise would happen, and it didn't happen. And obviously that's one of the big issues with WWE currently as it stands. WWE has the tendency to do these things where I don't want to say it's too predictable because I'm obviously Shinsuke winning was unpredictable. But I think overall, like, where the fuck is The Rock? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys? Like, where was The Rock? The Rock wasn't there. And I talked about it on a video for more Ango. So if you guys didn't see that, you should probably watch it. But the fact that The Rock wasn't there was kind of like a big blow. Because I felt like maybe it would have been a good opportunity to do so. But The Rock is busy with Moana. And he's busy being a Hollywood guy, and you know, it is what it is, right? But the baby faces won the men's war games, so I thought that was pretty good. Obviously WWE has a lot of long-term things. Listen, I'll tell you guys what I liked. I think every match was fine. I think the women's war games match was fine. I just didn't like the chair shots from Nia Jax. But I kind of want to break things down individually, so that's what we're going to do. First thing I want to talk about though, like things might be out of order or whatever. I don't know. What the hell is happening? Guys, I literally have not. I have not yawned all day, and all of a sudden I'm yawning. And I don't know if it's because the light is just shining super bright into my eyes, and I kind of want to turn it down, but then I'm scared it's going to look like shit. But it's causing my eyes to freak out. Weird. But, like, for example, Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus, the Intercontinental Championship match. I love the mid-card for Raw. I love the IC title picture, and I love this match. And I was really cool with Braun Breaker winning and retaining. So I felt like that was, like, it stood out to me as, like, a really fun match to watch. It stood out as a very fun match. But also, it gets me excited about the potential possibility of Ludwig Kaiser becoming a mid-card champion. It makes me excited about potentially seeing Sheamus become the Grand Slam champ. But, like, I think WWE, it's for having the IC title on a pay-per-view, like, I'm glad Braun Breaker got that to show up. I don't think Braun Breaker needs the IC title, honestly. And I know this isn't really like a popular opinion, but I do think a lot of people tend to really want these long, drawn out stories, kind of like they did with Cody chasing the belt. And I don't think that's necessary, especially in the mid card. You know, Braun obviously lost the belt, got it back. I don't know what they're going to do with him, man. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but I thought it was a fun triple threat match. I thought really all three guys looked good. I thought Braun Breaker looked really great. I think WWE is going to continue building around Braun. I think the real question is, what are their long-term plans for Braun Breaker? Because I think that's maybe like the one thing I consistently care about. Like, what are they going to do? But I also really enjoy the fact that, like, WWE has I'm saying kind of, because I don't know like how consistent WWE is here, but with like the US title reign, LA Knight, I felt like it was long enough. But I don't think I don't think Shinsuke Nakamura is going to have a long title reign, but I think they're going to build Braun Breaker to have a really long IC title reign again. And that's where I kind of get annoyed, because I feel like if they have Braun Breaker hold that IC title until WrestleMania, and let's say he just drops it to Sheamus or something, I feel like that's going to be a problem. Do I like coffee? Yeah, I grabbed a coffee earlier this morning. That's why I have no idea. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I've been staring at the computer screen literally all day. Just because I've been working on like graphics and stuff. As you guys could tell, things are different, and I was finishing them up and the intro. I don't know what's with the yawn, bro. Now I'm just smashing water. But it's just one of those things, I guess. Sometimes that's how it be, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the thing with Braun Breaker is I don't really want to see him holding the belt until WrestleMania. So like, I don't know. Like, I love the match, and I feel like, man, I would have just gave it to Sheamus right there, but people probably will disagree with that, and that's fine. It is what it is. What is happening right now? What is happening? Why am I yawning like this? Why am I yawning 100 times in a row while I'm live? I don't know. It's so freaking weird, man. And I slept good. I woke up early. Did I have turkey for Thanksgiving? I did. I don't know. I'm trying. I don't even feel tired. That's the crazy part. I'm just yawning. And this light is in my eye. Crazy. So weird. So weird. So weird. We did get a super chat. Give me a second. Well, I'm checking my dashboard really quick for something. Okay, that is strange. Yes, we did get a super chat. Darth Bane dropped $1.99. Next year should be an elimination war games match. I actually would prefer elimination style, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think, but my philosophy is with war games, waiting for everybody to get in. I think it's like they have an advantage match, but imagine how cool it would be to watch a war games match where, let's just say, like Jimmy, Jay, Sammy all get eliminated, and then Roman and CM Punk had to come back. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's a shitty idea, but I think it would be fun. I think it would be fun, and you could add more storytelling elements. You know, actually, the one thing I do want to say about the 2 war games matches as well is that I think for WWE Survivor Series, when you look at these war games matches, both of them, I thought both matches were good. But I feel like the women's match, I think you can make an argument had better spots, but I think there was more cinematic like moments in the or like storytelling moments or components added to the men's match that the women's match didn't have. So for example, I feel like with the men, a lot of people are going to be talking about the antics and stuff that you saw between Roman and CM Punk. And I think for the women, you're going to talk more about the spots, whether they were good or bad. I think more people will talk about it. I think if they had an elimination war games match, I think if somebody like, I don't know, like I think like if every member comes in, for example, and they get eliminated, and then there's 2 people that have to fend off a squad of 5, it would be kind of interesting. The thing is, I do think war games needs to be touched up a little bit. We didn't get any blood in the men's match, which is fine. I'm not complaining about it. You know, CM Punk and Drew bled a shit ton in the Hell in a Cell match, but I think if you're looking at war games, they should do something to make it a little bit different. And I don't know, I like the idea of war games kind of ripping off Lethal Lockdown from TNA. So maybe have some weapons attached to the cage inside or something. I don't know. Just something more than table spots and trash cans and stuff like that. But I do agree they should do something to switch it up a little bit. Darth Bane, thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate you, brother. Getting back to the card, I thought the Intercontinental Championship match was good. I wouldn't have minded a title change. We did get a title change for LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. The match wasn't that great, but to be honest with you, the booking was good here. Loved Nakamura's entrance, loved his presentation. I made a whole video on this on more Ango, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about this. But I got exposed on Twitter, right? On Twitter, I basically said WWE won't do it because they're cowards, but Shinsuke Nakamura should win the US title. The tweet popped off. People said a lot of nasty shit to me. But I mean, I'm glad, like I was really happy with it. You guys should watch that video. I think the US title match really wasn't the funnest match, but it was the best booking for sure. I think Shinsuke beating LA Knight was the right call. And because I made a whole other video on this, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I just can't imagine the idea of introducing a repackage and the guy coming in with a new gimmick and some stuff and like change, and like you can't do that to a guy who has not been taken serious in years. So I was very glad to see that they committed to Shinsuke Nakamura. And LA Knight, I think, needs a change. I don't know if LA Knight should be heel. I don't know exactly what they should do there, but I do know LA Knight needs a change for sure. And you know, it's unfortunate because I think LA Knight is kind of stuck in the mid card. I think he's going to be stuck in the mid card. And I think, you know, it's so hard to say this because I'm not trying to be a dickhead. Like, I like LA Knight. But there's just clearly so many other people who are ready for the world title picture. And I don't know if LA Knight will ever get there. Based on this climate right now with WWE, I don't know if LA Knight will ever get there. And that's the unfortunate aspect of it. I don't know if him and Shinsuke are going to keep going back and forth for the US title. I don't know if LA Knight's going to turn heel. I don't know what they're going to do with his character. But I was happy to see that he dropped the belt. And it's not because I don't like LA Knight, but I just felt like his reign was getting somewhat stale. And to be honest with you, I thought maybe Carmelo Hayes or Andrade should have won the belt from him, but they didn't do that. So they got to do something to make the men's US title picture scene a little bit more exciting on SmackDown, because I feel like the IC title picture on Raw is just incredibly strong. It is very fun to watch. So that is why I want something to happen there. Obviously, we'll see what happens, but I think they needed to change. They needed to press the reset button for sure. Gunther versus Damian Priest. A fun match. I don't like the idea of Finn Balor. Like, I liked everything until the ending, bro. I don't like the idea of Balor getting involved, but I thought it was fascinating to see Gunther take out Finn Balor. I thought maybe WWE would be smart enough to keep Damian Priest away from Finn Balor, but the truth is they're not. And now they got Damian Priest and Finn Balor being revisited. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that for tomorrow, based on tonight's episode of Raw. But the truth is, I thought that was pretty dumb, in my opinion. I just want to be done with the Judgment Day. Honestly, this is going to sound so shitty, but I don't care. I fucking hate the Judgment Day at this point. I don't like the Judgment Day anymore. I've kind of talked a little bit about it in the past, but I'm over the Judgment Day. I don't care about Liv Morgan and Raquel. I don't care about Carlito in the group. I don't care about JD McDonough and Finn Balor. I want Finn Balor to get the fuck away from this shit, bro. I want Finn Balor to be the Finn Balor that was the demon. I want Finn Balor to be the guy that can go out there and have incredible matches. And I feel like this needs to end, bro. The Judgment Day needs to end. Dom is going to be a future world champion in this company. Get him away from the Judgment Day. Get Finn Balor away from the Judgment Day. Get JD McDonough away from the Judgment Day. Disband the group. I'm tired of it, man. Like, it's gone its course, and WWE needs to be a lot more creative than having Finn Balor getting involved here. And I think it ruined, like, I wouldn't say it ruined the World Heavyweight Championship match, but the match was good. It was great all the way up until the end. And then I'm like, fuck, get this shit off my screen. You know what I'm saying? So it's just to the point where I'm over the Judgment Day. It's time to end the Judgment Day. Let's get away from it. Let's get away from it as soon as possible. WWE absolutely won't do that. Darth Bane dropping another $1.99. He says, who would you book to dethrone Gunther and win? This is such a tough question to answer because I feel like when you look at Darth Bane's question, you have to have somebody dethrone Gunther. And there's a lot of people who are ready for that spot. I think Braun Breaker could do it. I think if Ilya Dragunov was not, off the books, I think he would do it. I think Jey Uso could be a world champion. I think Damian Priest could be the one to do it again. I think Finn Balor would be fun. Finn Balor versus Gunther would be fun. Demon Finn Balor, like getting a massive singles push away from the Judgment Day. I think it would be fun. I think CM Punk versus Gunther would be extremely fun. I think Drew McIntyre versus Gunther would be extremely fun. But I want some change here. And if I'm the WWE, the right way to go about this change, honestly, is having fresh meat. And I don't know if WWE will do this, but the World Heavyweight Championship picture, I don't want to see Gunther do what he did. Like I get so frustrated with these long ass title reigns, honestly. And like, to me, it's just because I like when things are changing rapidly, and I like when things are done a little bit quickly. And I think, you know, certain title reigns are meant to be long, certain ones aren't meant to be long. And I think if you're Gunther, I think what they need to do is have Gunther versus Goldberg, maybe at the Royal Rumble, have Gunther beat Goldberg, and then honestly, man, give John Cena the title. Have John Cena do it. And I would have him do it, like low key, I would rather have him do it at Elimination Chamber. But I don't think that's what they're going to do. I listen, ideally, John Cena beats Gunther at WrestleMania. But I've already fantasy booked the idea. I would actually have John Cena turn heel and cheat to beat Gunther. I know people don't like it, but I would have him do it. I would have him turn heel, cheat to win, and WWE will never do it. John Cena probably will never do it. But if John Cena were to be a heel in his last ever run, it would be really, really fun. It would change the dynamics of WWE. And also, I think for Gunther, they're already teasing him being a babyface. So if John Cena were to win as a heel and Gunther is a babyface, and John Cena like literally cheated to win, I think it just does so much more. It justifies Gunther losing. I think there would be a really fun story there. I don't. Hey, listen, I said WWE won't do it with Shinsuke because they're cowards. So maybe if I say it again, maybe it's a possibility. And Mike is bringing out a really good point. Cena hasn't won as a face in years, which is true. So that would be really fun. I think that would be really cool. I like the idea of doing some shocking shit. I like surprises. I like things that are unpredictable. I think that would be unpredictable. So Darth Bane, to answer your question, I think there's a lot of people who can do it, but have John Cena do it as a heel. And for the second part of your question, you're saying as to win. I think honestly, it would be really fun if they did it at WrestleMania, but that's a long ways away. So maybe you do it. Maybe Gunther does an open challenge on Raw on Netflix and John Cena wins and cheats. I don't know. But I think more than likely, if we're being realistic, it would have to happen at WrestleMania. That wouldn't be a bad idea. So thank you for the super chat, brother. There was a question in the chat that I saw that was interesting. What's more tiresome, Judgment Day or Moxley's group? Both of them. Honestly, I'm sick of both of them. So they're tied. They're tied. They need to make the Judgment Day more exciting, more appealing. It's not. So until they do that, it's kind of tough. Women's War Games match was not bad in my opinion. I think a lot of people are talking shit about Nia Jax and the chair swings and stuff like that. Obviously some botches in the first half of it. But I did like the match. I thought it eventually got, like I said, there was a couple awkward moments. There was a couple moments where it just, maybe the chemistry was off or whatever. But eventually it picks up. And Team Ripley obviously wins. It's the right booking choice. I thought Rhea Ripley had some really cool gear made. Obviously, it was very inspired. It was very inspired by Buddy Murphy in the House of Black, which I thought that was pretty cool. The guy that did like the Fiend mask, I think his name is Jason Baker. I think is his name. He's the one who came up with the mask last minute for Rhea Ripley, which was cool. I thought that was dope. So personally speaking, I thought that was really cool. And yeah, like I think the women's match eventually got on track. Cool. Yeah, cool. The finish was fine. Io Sky did the trash can spot like she always does. Io Sky is my personal MVP of the match, but you know, WWE is, they love Rhea Ripley. They love building her up. And again, I just want to see things being fresh. And right now, I just think sometimes WWE is playing it safe with certain people. There's just certain individuals that get used and they're protected at all times. And I just wish that WWE would sometimes not do that as much. And I think they did that with Rhea Ripley. She was getting beat up. I don't know. Was it a kendo stick or a baseball bat or whatever? You know, she's like just superhuman. And sometimes I just don't like that way of booking in wrestling. Sometimes I like when people are vulnerable and they're booked in a way where it's just slightly different from normal. But I get it. WWE has a mission here and I understand why they're doing it. I just don't necessarily care for it. But again, I just want to see wrestling in general shaken up a little bit. And that's really hard to ask because WWE and AEW are stuck in their ways. So it is what it is. Men's War Games match was my favorite match on the card. It was the right way to go about it. Bronson Reed really looked good on the show. Bronson Reed and Jimmy Uso just going off the top and just doing some really cool stuff. Jacob Fatu, no selling, looked really great. The Samoan Werewolf, just fantastic. But what I really loved about this match was that it was OG Bloodline versus the New Bloodline, obviously with the addition of Bronson Reed and CM Punk. And Bronson Reed just did a phenomenal job of looking great the entire time. But what was really cool about Bronson Reed, I mean, it got to the point where like they look so good together and they fit together and the chemistry is there. I would love to see Bronson Reed as part of the New Bloodline permanently, honestly. And that would be, after watching that match, that's how I felt. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then in terms of the CM Punk situation, was they just did a lot of great storytelling and a lot of different elements in the match where, you know, Punk walked, it was when he walked past Roman Reigns, you know, getting out of the cage, and Roman, like I don't know how to explain it. Like they did this whole thing where like Roman puts his arm out and he stops Punk, and dude, just really good stuff there. But then even when Punk is ready to get into the match, like he ain't even waiting. He just goes and does his own thing. He like runs in there. Just a lot of cool elements in this match that made it feel important. And I think WWE produced this match very well. The thing about this match, though, there was no blood. And like I said, I'm not mad about no blood. But it would be cool for WWE to switch up War Games matches because I feel like, especially with the Bloodline the last 2 years, it's been more about those subtle moments than it's been about the physical match and the spots in the match itself. So that's the reason why I bring that up. You know, I feel like WWE has just definitely kind of played it safe. But yeah, obviously I see you guys in the chat asking about Punk's favor from Paul Heyman. And that's a big one, man. Obviously, that's a big one. I think WWE clearly has planted seeds with CM Punk and Roman, and I talked about this on More Ango yesterday. But I think Punk versus Roman is a WrestleMania 41 match, and it's going to be Paul Heyman on a pole match. You know, I don't know if that's really the case, but I do think to a certain extent WWE has planted that seed there, and I think Punk and Rollins is going to be pretty fucking huge, and they're going to have some really big stories coming out of this match. I seen a lot of people were upset because The Rock didn't show up at the end. I wasn't mad about that, but seeing how CM Punk made a big splash last year at Survivor Series, and then this year there was no big surprise, I think that obviously adds to it, but definitely a fun match. Overall, Survivor Series was fun. The thing I don't like about WWE pay-per-views, the last few pay-per-views, were that like some of the matches on the card didn't need to be there. That wasn't an issue with Survivor Series. I felt like every match was rightfully on the card. how they were produced and stuff like that, I think it was fine. But I give Survivor Series like a solid 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top. I like CM Punk being in the match. I think there's a lot of stories there. Bronson Reed got injured. He messed up his ankle. Jimmy Uso broke his toe, I think they said. So those guys put it all on the line, you know, all out on the line. Like, I thought they did some cool stuff. Just like a lot more subtle stuff mattered in the men's war game match, and I think with the women's it wasn't. But that's kind of how I viewed it. And I don't know, man. Like, WWE kind of, they got the long game figured out. It's just a matter of watching and seeing what happens. I don't really get mad that WWE didn't have, like, how do I want to explain this? So, like, Survivor Series was a good filler pay-per-view, if that makes sense. That's how I would look at it. Darth Bane dropping a $4.99. He says WWE missed the perfect opportunity for a Tiffany cash-in when Nia and Liv were both taken out. Excuse me. Okay, so here's the thing. I agree that WWE, listen, like, this is going to be, I'm not trying to rant, but I'm going to rant. All right. It is what it is. WWE did miss the opportunity. Tiffany Stratton, in my opinion, I'm already tired of her holding Money in the Bank. I'm tired of her holding Money in the Bank. And Tiffany Stratton should actually swerve everybody and cash in on Liv Morgan. Because I want them to, like, freshen things up. Tiffany could cash in on Nia Jax, and they've already teased it several times. But if she were to go and cash in on Liv Morgan, that's like a genuine surprise for the most part. I don't know. Like, to me personally, I just want to see them. Guys, there's a common trend in today's stream I keep talking about. Just shake things up a little bit. Do things a little bit random. Wrestling companies need to do this sometimes. AEW and WWE included. Because imagine if Tiffany cashed in on Liv Morgan. Nobody would have seen it coming. There could have been really cool stuff there. But the thing is, WWE cares more about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan and Raquel than they do about Tiffany's cash-in. So therefore, Tiffany's cash-in is just being put on hold. Timu says Triple H's booking is honestly pretty slow and safe. It does get tired. It's not safe, but it's slow. Everything is just drawn out. And I said, I love long-term stories. I love it. But I even said it before. I said Triple H has to be careful with long-term stories for absolutely everything, because then people do get tired of waiting. And for Money in the Bank, when you look at the whole circumstance that led, obviously, to, you know, with the whole situation regarding Austin Theory and his cash-in, Triple H shouldn't do that with Tiffany Stratton. Don't draw it out to the point where it just gets long and tiresome. And Tiffany Stratton could be a very, 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 very top star for WWE. So the longer and longer and longer that you hold out on, it might be a mistake. So that is something to keep in mind. Something to definitely keep in mind. I definitely agree, Darth. I think at some point they missed the opportunity. And I think they should do it because the momentum's there for Tiffany Stratton. But not everything needs to be drawn out extremely long. And that's the one thing I'm not liking about WWE sometimes. I love long-term stories, but sometimes if you take too long, you get tired and bored of it. So it is what it is. Thank you for the $4.99. All right, guys, that concludes the Survivor Series review. We got a couple other topics to discuss. We're going to take a quick break. And don't go anywhere. Literally, don't go anywhere. We will be back. We're going to talk about WWE Raw tonight, The New Day, and some more. And we'll be RB. All right. We are back. Okay. So okay. So you guys should be able to hear me, right? I was just making sure that it's like not doubling or something, because I think it was doubling. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Thank you, chat. I appreciate the confirmation. All right, let's talk about Raw. Tonight's Raw is supposed to be star-studded. It's supposed to be freaking huge. It's supposed to be newsworthy. It's supposed to be talk-worthy. A lot of people should be talking about WWE Raw tonight. There's a reason for it. Now, I want to talk to you guys specifically about Raw tonight, and more specifically the New Day, because that was a botch. That was completely a botch. God, I can't do anything right. Anyways, as I was saying, I want to talk to you guys about WWE Raw tonight, and more specifically the New Day, because guys, as you know, with the New Day, basically, we know Big E is going to be there tonight, okay? We know Big E will show up. It's the 10-year anniversary of the New Day. For months and months, they have been teasing this heel turn for Xavier Woods. And I want to hear you guys' theories in the chat. I have my theory. I have a bold prediction. I have something absolutely crazy to think about. But I have a very strong feeling that Xavier Woods is not the only one turning heel. I think Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are turning heel. And I have a very strong feeling that WWE has something massive in the works here regarding Big E. Now, we don't know if Big E is cleared. We don't know if he's cleared for anything. We don't know if he's got to retire for sure. We don't know anything. But obviously, WWE is going to have some sort of swerve tonight. Whether it's Xavier turning heel, whether it's Kofi turning heel, whether Big E just leaves them and disowns them and completely gets rid of them. Maybe Big E is 100% cleared and all three of them are heels. I don't know what to expect here. But my theory is that Xavier Woods and Kofi are actually turning heel because Big E has not been there. And I think it's actually really interesting because we never really saw the Shield breaking up the way it did, right? We didn't see that happening. And obviously WWE has been alluding to something. They've been planting seeds. And I think what is going to happen here is that the New Day will be completely reimagined as a group. And I think instead of Kofi and Xavier actually turning on heel on Big E, if Big E isn't cleared for in-ring action, why not have Big E turn heel with them? Why not do a story where all three are together and they are heel? Because like I said earlier in the stream, I need WWE to shake things up. I need WWE to go about this in a way where it's unpredictable. And I think it's so predictable that Xavier Woods would turn heel. And that's why the question mark for me has always been, what about Kofi? And I think if you look at the way it's played out in weeks, and I think the big thing here is that Kofi has kind of been standing his ground. But then lately, Kofi, like we all saw the exchange between Xavier and Kofi, where Kofi, you lost 6 seconds. Kofi Mania ended in 6 seconds to Brock Lesnar, right? Like we heard those comments, and I'm thinking maybe Xavier Woods finally got into Kofi's head and finally got him to snap out of it. And I could see Kofi and Xavier turning heel. Now, the real question is, where does Big E fit into this? If Big E is cleared, man, it would be amazing to see him and see them like do something where they turn heel and they snap on somebody, right? But also, I think it would be really, really cool for WWE if Big E isn't cleared. Big E's the one who gets them reshaped and refocused, even as a manager, as the guy that can talk. Big E cuts great promos. He's great on the mic. Something is obviously massive here. Do I think the New Day breaks up? That seems to be what everybody believes. Everybody believes that this group is done. I don't think so. I don't think Xavier Woods goes single, and I don't think Kofi goes single. But if WWE is smart here, they move forward with this group as a heel group. And I think it's better for them to be heels because you got to switch it up. But also, that was the original intention for the New Day. People forget that. When the New Day started, the original plan was for them to be heel. And then, obviously, it didn't work, but they got off and became big, big baby faces. And for years and years and years, as a babyface tag team, they were selling out tons and tons of merch. They were a big draw for the company. There was just so much good that came from them being there. And obviously it made sense to keep them as baby faces. But again, the constant trend that I keep saying about WWE, everything is drawn out. Everything is predictable. Let's shake things up here. Let's have them go heel together. And I think if the New Day turn heel, I think they would be the perfect candidates to take the tag titles from the Judgment Day. And then you can have the War Raiders and the New Day. The thing is, the tag team division is cooked right now. It is absolutely cooked. So if I were the WWE and you shake things up and the New Day go heel and they cheat to win and all this bullshit starts to happen, now you got some very interesting stuff happening in the tag team division, which is absolutely necessary because the tag team division is kind of boring right now. And I think for WWE, what's actually really, really cool here, and Cam says it in the chat, he says, where does Big E play into all of this currently? Big E has been watching from the sideline. And so I think Big E needs to be the man of reason that says, look, you guys clearly aren't winning. What you are doing is clearly not working. Things need to change. And I would cement the heel turn. And I think everybody would expect Xavier Woods to be the guy that snaps. But because Xavier Woods has already been so vocal about this kind of stuff, I think Kofi Kingston being the one to do it makes a lot of sense. Now, the question is, how do they do this, right? How do they actually turn heel? Because when it was the Shield turning heel, they were all in the ring together, right? The New Day turning heel has to be done in a way where they cause some chaos or some sort of thing where like people are talking. Maybe, you know, the New Day are talking in the ring and they're met in the ring by another tag team, but I don't know how they're going to go about it. They got to turn heel together. And however Big E fits, if he is cleared, because that's the question mark, if he's cleared or not. If he's not cleared, that's where it becomes difficult. But if he is cleared, man, imagine if Big E were to grab a chair and swing that across somebody's back. Like, that's the big thing, right? Like, that would be like the absolute best thing they could do, is if they were in the ring with somebody and they turned on somebody and Big E was the one to do it and Kofi and Xavier followed through with it, like, it's perfect. And Big E is the guy that keeps them glued together. So the reality is that, like, I want to see them make a big splash here tonight. I have a feeling whatever they end up doing will be big, but I promise you guys, if it's just Xavier Woods turning heel and going solo, I don't care about that, because that's what they've been planting the seed for a long time. Again, I want to be shocked. I want to be unpredictable. You have, you know, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Maybe that's what happens. Kofi and Xavier get involved with them and maybe a chair shot to one of them. Like, I don't know. I need to see Kofi Kingston snap. I need to see Xavier Woods snap. And if Big E's involved, it's perfect. If Big E is not involved, in the sense that he is not going to be cleared, then obviously it would be really cool for Kofi and Xavier Woods to attack Big E. But I don't think that will happen if he's not medically cleared. You know what I'm saying? So they got to do something. But the problem is the Raw tag team division is slacking. They got the Creed brothers, they're heel. You got the Judgment Day, they're heel. You got Ivar and Eric, they're not really babyface or heel, but they're pretty much babyface. You got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. You got AOP. You know, Rey and Dragon Lee are like the only babyface tag team I think they have on Raw that I could think of. I mean, if you want to count Otis and if you want to count Otis and Tozawa, but they need to switch up something here massively. They need to do it. It's really important. How they go about it, I don't know. But I told you guys my thoughts. Xavier and Kofi should turn heel, preferably with Big E. But if Big E can't wrestle, still do it. If Big E could get hit, that would be great, because it would prolong the story. If Big E is cleared, I want to see all three as a heel group. But we'll see what happens. Who knows what WWE's got planned up their sleeve. Chat is moving fast. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat. Very interesting stuff. They should move American Made over to SmackDown. Dude, they got to switch it up, because this is just like, they got to switch something up. They really do. The rosters need to be rebalanced, for sure. Punk is set to open Raw. Yeah. So that should be a pretty big deal. I mean, I don't know what Punk's going to do, but I have a feeling. I don't know what they're going to do with Punk, but I have a feeling it's going to be Seth Rollins attacking him. Do I think we'll see Penta in a couple weeks? Yeah, I think so. Punk declaring for the Rumble would make a lot of sense. Seth Rollins coming out would make a lot of sense as well. Bronson Reed won't be there, obviously, due to injury. But I mean, it's a solid Raw, bro. And then they got the women's IC title tournament match. And then R-Truth versus Pete Dunne. So it should be pretty star-studded. When does Solo get the boot? I think Solo gets the boot on Raw on Netflix. January 6th. That's when I think. I think for sure Raw on Netflix. I think that would make the most sense. What else you guys want to talk about? We got a few minutes left. If anybody has a super chat they want to drop, go ahead and do so. Penta to Raw or SmackDown? Well, they're going to need a babyface tag team on Raw. So when Phoenix is ready, Penta and Phoenix should be on Raw. But as a singles guy, he should be on SmackDown in the US title scene. What's up, Pee-wee? I don't think we see Punk going after Gunther just yet. Caden Carter has not been released. There's no confirmation on that. Can Rhea stop being booked like Prime Super Cena? I get making her look strong, but it's been at the expense of Liv and Raquel's credibility. Yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to is what it comes down to is that they're not going to stop that. But that's what I was complaining about earlier. The Judgment Day stuff I'm tired of. I don't care about it anymore. When does Rock be revealed as the one behind the new Bloodline? January 6th, Netflix. The Bloodline, led by Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and I think Hikuleo. And Solo Sikoa should go back to being the street champ. Dakota Kai probably should win the first match. Can I be signed to TNA as creative? Good question. Would be fun. Any big predictions for Saturday night's main event? No, not yet. After this week, I'm sure I'll have some, but not really sure just yet, to be honest. Kevin Owens versus Cody is going to be really awesome. Why is Solo more soft-spoken than when he was in NXT? Hey, man, he's the new tribal chief. And honestly, I like Solo Sikoa. I liked him before. I thought the new bloodline started off a little shaky, but I think Solo Sikoa really found his confidence and he's doing a great job. So I wonder how it's going to be if he gets kicked out. Is NXT versus TNA over? No. Nope. Kairi Sane as the first women's intercontinental champion would be pretty damn cool. If WWE keeps booking Rhea Ripley like super clean, they're going to make fans turn on her. Yeah. Got to be careful how you shove people down their throat. That's for sure. Is there anyone I don't want to win the women's intercontinental champion? Nope. I'd be fine with anybody, honestly. Who does WWE sign first, Jordan Grace or Joe Hendry? Jordan Grace. Penta should debut in the Rumble. I agree. Yeah, we'll see how it all goes. I love Solo. Nice, dude. But all right, guys, we will call it a stream. It is 1 o'clock, and we're going to have more content going out and the highlights posted on more Ango as well. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Shout out to Darth Bane for the super chats. Appreciate y'all coming through. Let's have a good week. I'll see you guys next time.